Hello. You're watching Yona Tarot, and today we're gonna see what messages is coming through, what the universe would like you to hear the most. If you were drawn because of the title, then it means that there's some messages for you in this video. So without further ado, let's go. What messages would the viewer wanna hear today? Taurus, first house, and second house owning. Okay, I hope you can see these cards the way that I can see them. Okay, so first of all, second house in astrology is equivalent to Taurus. Taurus is equivalent to second house, so there's a very strong Taurus second house energy. And second house, as it says, owning, it represents money and the assets that we own, our bank account, our values also. It's more like Taurus as a sign. It shows in our astrology chart what do we usually value in our lives. Usually also because it's ruled by Venus, it can rule relationships, but it's more on the traditional sense. Usually Venus, because Venus is ruled by Libra and Taurus, I deem that Libra is more about our relationships with others and our business deals and general marketplace, generally people that we interact with. And Taurus is more like assets and money, because Venus also rules money. And first house, the body, in astrology, it rules yourself, your physical self, your brain, and how other people usually see you in this world. And usually when we make predictions in astrology, we want to see the first house as in what things you attract to you as in physical realm. Because when in Vedic astrology, we always look at the first house and then the moon. And the moon represents our inner self and our emotions, what is going inside the psyche. And you can make predictions based on both moon and the first house, but I deem that the first house reflects more on what we experience in the physical realm, and moon is more like how do we react, how do we feel in our physical realm. And of course, because how we feel, it reflects to how we act in the world. So the mind state is very important also when we deem predictions like what is going to happen. Because for example, let's say that in the first house you attract certain things in your physical realm, but if your mental state is not accepting what is coming or is not appreciating it, it might just slip away, as an example. But I'm going kind of a side rail here. Maybe you needed to hear that. But what I see from the cards, first of all, maybe actually before I go further, I see with the numbers, I see 4, 5, 6. So there's some type of linear progression about something related to these topics, which might be maybe you're learning to value you as your physical self. Maybe you've had some self-esteem issues with your body and your physical self. And maybe you're contemplating on putting more effort, putting more, I couldn't say money, but maybe it could be money. Maybe you want to buy new clothes. Maybe you want to enhance your look in certain way. That is highly encouraged here, putting more value to yourself instead of, when we again look at the astrology, we have the first house and then we have the seventh house, which is other people and our close partners or close people and partners. And if this was the seventh house, maybe I would say that maybe you want to invest more money or time to your partner or close relationships, but here is encouraging you to put that instead of to others, to yourself. Maybe do things that make you feel good about yourself, invest in yourself. Also, Taurus is ruling things like art and beauty. So maybe you want to cultivate your creative energy in some way through your physical body. I mean, it could be literally dancing. Maybe you want to make money with dancing because we have the second house with money. Or make money through some form of art by putting yourself out there. If that's something that you want to do, I think it's time that you start taking steps towards it. And it can be just very small steps. It doesn't need to be that tomorrow you're going to be the Leonardo DiCaprio or something if you like acting. It can be just small steps. I think personally, the things that we actually enjoy doing and what sets our hearts on fire is an indicator that we are on the right path. Because if we are doing something that we feel there is some form of resistance, it usually indicates that our soul, our inner being, is not aligned with the physical realm, with the first house. So maybe you want to look more deeper into that. Are you in a life situation right now that you wanna do something more creative, but you're not allowing yourself to do? Or if it relates to work or where you get your money from, I think it's highly encouraging that, I mean, just take a pen and paper and start doing every day. Just 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Every day you do certain practice, whatever is for you, that cultivates your feeling of goodness and beauty and love, and what you would want to maybe proceed in professional sense. Just do some small steps every day, and you will start seeing eventually, when you look back in the time, that, oh shit, I've progressed so much because I did the steps every day. Because if you don't take the steps, you're not going to progress anywhere. And the funny thing is that the nature of life is constant change, is constant movement. So we always have the free will to decide which direction we want to go. So I think if you feel that you want to do some form of arts by, like, I mean, it could be dancing, it could be just traditional art, sculpting, just writing. If you've been contemplating on putting yourself out there in a professional sense, yes, this is the time to do it. But let's take the tarot. Let's see what other messages are coming through. And I just want to say, for example, I mean, these are my first videos. I've been doing tarot for years, but I felt calling to do this for a long time. And now I took the first steps to actually gather the courage and do the videos. And they probably suck at first, but that's the beauty of the progress, that we take the steps towards the things that we love doing. And eventually will start becoming more natural to your being and your life. Okay, so we have 8 of Wands. I don't know if you can see this because I have a lot of crap on my table. Maybe I put them there. Yeah, there you can see them better. Let me leave this here. So we have 8 of Wands. Let me take all these cards and I will walk you through it. Okay, so we have 2 of Pentacles. We put some more space here and then we take one more. Okay, so Swords. This is pretty much confirming. Let me just show the bottom. I don't know which way you can see, maybe this way. Nine of Cups. So this is pretty much confirming what I just babbled here for 8 minutes now almost. So basically 8 of Wands represents quick movement. It can represent traveling, communication in some form, but how I see it connecting to this message that I just overlaid here, it's encouraging you to move forward. And I think that once you start taking the steps, it will be like a very quick progress. It's like maybe quicker than you expected. Maybe you get more attention than you expected. Maybe your progression is quicker than you expected. I have that feeling here that maybe you've been resisting something, but then once you start taking the steps, it actually flows very quickly and very easily. The 2 of Pentacles represents some form of change. It can also be balancing act with 2 components, but I feel personally this is more like shifting from one to the other and maybe contemplating, how do I do this shift? Maybe there's been a bit of back and forth with the thinking of, oh, I want to do this, but then I have this comfort zone, the thing that everyone is supposed to do, but I actually want to do this, so I kind of go juggling, but I don't really make any decisions. And I think this is encouraging again, that once you take the step forward, it's actually gonna move very quickly. And there's the guy with a hat, with like very long hats, and I think that you've been contemplating this for a long time. It's like it's been growing inside your head so much that even the beanie doesn't hold it anymore. I don't know, it's just a weird metaphor, but I think the more you resist, the bigger the waves become. In the background you see there's the waves and the ships, and how can the ships float if the waves are too big? And I think the emotional wave, so to speak, like when I was talking about the moon in astrology, reflecting your inner psyche, and moon is represented by water in element. And I think that the more you juggle and the more you wait and the more you contemplate, the bigger the waves become. Basically, your inner state might become more and more restless. You might feel more and more resistance. There might be more and more headaches with the beanie. And I think that you need to break free from this eternal loop of back and forth, eternal loop of, but what if it fails? What if this and that? Listen, you never achieve success if you're not daring to take the first steps. That's just the reality. You will never know what is behind the veil if you never lift the veil and if you never take the steps forward. And let's just take an example that even if you fail, then what? At least you tried. At least you can be proud of yourself that you tried to do something that maybe was against the norm of where you live and what other people are telling you to do and what the society expects you to do. Again, nature is constant change, and I think I mentioned this in my previous video as well, if I remember correctly. And also this 8 represents also so above, so below. What we think, we manifest. So we need to be very careful of how we think of, for example, we might also talk ourselves out of things. Like if we have a very negative loop in our minds, like, oh, it's gonna fail, it's not gonna go anywhere. Well, then it actually like transfers into our physical realm, as in we stop ourselves taking the steps that we actually wanted, but we talk ourselves out of it. So we need to be very careful also with how we think about things. And sometimes the best solution for things is just doing it. Personally, because I'm from the north and we have very long winters and it's just awfully cold and there's nothing much to do. And one of my favorite activities during the winter, I personally love winter. It's like a resting period / I actually love the cold. And one of my favorite hobbies is ice swimming. So you dip into the cold ass lake or sea that is almost 0 degrees, and what is actually the benefits of doing it? It sounds crazy, it sounds silly, it's like, why do you do this to yourself? Even my body is, every time I go there, there's like an alarm system going in my brain, like, what the fuck are you doing? Just get out, don't go there, there's no point. But once you go there, it's like you've overcome your own self-doubt, you become more courageous. It's like we have this internal voice constantly saying, oh, be aware of this, don't do this is danger, blah, blah, blah. But if we actually start living in a physical sense based on what our thoughts tell us to do, we never achieve anything. We are always living in the base of fear, which is very low vibrational energy, and we don't want to stay there, because then we start attracting, based on that fear, things that might be destructive to our well-being. So we need to be very, very careful with that. I've actually covered a bit of the Ace of Swords, with the Ace of Swords being our, like swords being our mental state, our thoughts, our ideas, how we communicate, is air element. And I'm kind of covering a bit of what I felt from the card on this topic, that the ice swimming, it actually, you learn to just do it instead of like think too much. Because with the ice swimming, it's like you have all these thoughts like, oh, don't go there, don't do this, but you kind of leave that in the back burner. You don't pay much attention to that thinking that is going inside your head, and you just do it. And then the more you start doing this ice swimming, the more it starts to transfer to other aspects of your life. And that's the beauty of that hobby, I feel. Because then, for example, these videos, I had a lot of thoughts, but before I started this channel, that what is the point? Nobody watches, which might be true for now. What is the point? Blah, blah, blah. But then again, how can I see the change with the Two of Pentacles if I never do it? And the same for you. If there's something that you feel that you want to do creative, I feel it's very creative for you, maybe some creative talent that you have just take the steps, please, because I think the world right now needs more creativity. It needs more fun. It needs more beauty and lightness, because right now the world, it seems, is in a very dark space with all the wars and political nonsense and this. We need this more gracious energy, this more softer, nicer, because Taurus as an energy is a very soft and nice and sweet energy. And I think that we need that. So if you have something, please pour it, because I think the world needs it. And I think your guides have been putting like these little nuggets in your head that please go there, please don't stay here in the old, please go to the new. So I think this is as an encouragement for you to move forward. But further ado, the Ace of Swords, again, maybe you are getting an idea on how you can start making these steps forward. And I think you need to be very connected with your intuition. I don't know if you practice some form of meditation or contemplation, how connected you are in general with the universe. But I think the more you like pay attention to your inner being and what it's saying, that there might be some idea on how you can start doing this. Actually, let me take one more card for this, because I feel there's like some energy that I cannot put in words. Two of Wands. Okay, so Two of Wands is how am I holding this card? Wait, this way around. Two of Wands. Two of Wands represents some form of crossroads, like a smaller crossroad in our life. Because we have been, again, in the comfort zone. Holy shit, I just mentioned the comfort zone. This guy has been living in the castle, in the comfort zone for his whole fucking life. And now he's looking the planet on his hand, and he's rotating it and thinking that, where could I go? Because the world is so big outside this castle, this comfort zone. So again, maybe you have multiple choices, or you have some new idea coming how you can progress with this art plan or creative pursuit or of some form. Or I mean, I got the message also of valuing yourself, but I think that comes with that once you start actually living more in aligned with yourself, it boosts your self-esteem, and then it starts reforming your whole life based on that inner state of being. So yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything else to say. I'm just going round and round with the same message. I think this is highly encouraging you to take the steps forward. And I like to think also that when we have aspirations in our lives, it's not only that one thing that we want to do, but we need to align our own whole life and our whole being around that thing that we want to do. So for example, let's say that you want to do some form of art as business, or you want to provide art work like by yourself, by an entrepreneur. That's great, but how is your the other aspects on your life? What is your general relationships in your life? What is your living circumstances right now? What is your food habits? Do you practice good hygiene? Do you eat regularly? Do you eat good food? Do you practice meditation? Do you cultivate healthy relationships? Blah, 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 blah. What is your general life atmosphere right now? Because that has a high influence on what other actions we do in our lives. So again, sometimes sounds kind of rough, but sometimes we need to do a bit of cleanup in our lives, in the sense that do we have people in our lives that might send like negative energy? And I'm not talking in a mystic sense. I'm talking more in a, let's say that you are talking about that, hey, I have this passion for arts and I would like to open a business, and you have somebody who's always letting you down, saying that the world doesn't support it right now. How are you gonna get the money? How are you blah blah blah? You know, this type of negative vomiting, and you don't need that. So you need to cut those people out, or if you cannot cut or you don't want, just like don't interact them with that much, and start cultivating more energy on relationships that support these plans that you have for yourself. And I think also, for example, eating habits are very important because it's supporting our core, the first house, because then that changes our energy field, and that helps us to attract good things into our life. Because, well, let's go on a more biological level. The good food impacts our gut health and bacteria, and then that influences our brain and our thinking. So let's say that you eat a lot of processed food, sugar, bad fat, etc., etc. That will definitely affect your brain, and you might feel more lethargic, more depressed. You might have more negative thoughts, because everything is energy. So again, shifting those little life habits, getting more exercise, because that makes your blood moving, your life force moving. And those activities will help to support whatever you wanna do in your life, because first you have more energy, you have more optimism, you have more ideas coming. It's all like a pillars of supporting your life, your passion. But yeah, I don't think that I have anything else to say here. I have progressed much further in this video than I thought, so I think I will wrap it here. I hope this was helpful for you, and I hope to see you in my next videos. So bye bye.